Friends, I hope you are having a very blessed Christmas season. Now, during this season, we celebrate a very important feast in the church, a feast that is very personal to us, the feast of the Most Holy Family. And it's personal to us because our families are very important to us. As you can see, I am at a manger scene here, perhaps the only image we have of the Holy Family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. What makes a family holy? How can we know whether our families are holy or not? Let me begin with a rather unconventional story. Last Friday, I buried 85-year-old Mary Williams. She was an unusual woman. Her story broke my heart. After a very difficult first marriage, she took her 4 children and she put them in her Chevy Nova, filled it with anything else would fit into that car, and she drove all the way from California to Dayton. Single-handedly, not only did she raise her 4 children, but then she adopted triplets. And she did it because she cared about these children. She never remarried. She sent all her children to Catholic schools, and she worked really hard and single-handedly raised all of them well. The tragic part of the story is that she was told then that she could not come to the church and receive the sacraments. As her children told me later, she never stopped being a Catholic. She would come to church often. She would come to the parish that I'm at. And whenever she would come, she would worship with the children that were with her or grandchildren that were with her. I have a question for you. Do you think that that family was a holy family? I certainly think so. In those days, for whatever reason, somebody in the church did not think that she was holy enough to come to church. But I believe that she was a holy family, that her family was a holy family, and that God welcomed her into eternity. Folks, here's the thing about our families. A holy family does not mean a perfect family. See, the holy family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph was holy, and I think it was just a little different than our family because 2 people in that family were sinless. And Joseph, as we know it, was a very, very righteous man. Now, that's not the case with our families, isn't it? We're all imperfect people. But can our families still be holy? I believe yes. And sure, we must try to be holy. And that does not mean being perfect. See, the fact that the feast of the Holy Family falls within the Christmas season is significant because it tells us that Christ came into an imperfect world. And Christ embraced an imperfect world to make it holy. And this holds true also for our families. What makes a family holy is not perfection. What makes a family holy is simply this, that of all the ways in which God could come into the world, God chose a family. God came into a home, into a family. And so it's God's presence in the family that makes it holy. Yes, we have to make an effort too, but the primary reason why a family is considered holy is because God is in that family. Our holiness comes from the fact that God is present in our homes, embracing our imperfections and our feeble attempts at holiness. If you have invited God to be present in your families in any way, please know that your family is a holy family, even though it's not a perfect family. Now, because God embraces our imperfections does not mean that we should not strive for holiness. Now, how do we do that? One of the scripture readings for this feast has some very, very practical ways in which a family can be holy and try to be like the Holy Family. So here is Paul's advice to Christian families, and it's found in Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 to 24. Let me read that for you. Paul says, "Put on as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, heartfelt compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another. If one has a grievance against another, as the Lord has forgiven you, so must you also do. And over all these, put on love, that is the bond of perfection." Now, these virtues describe Christ himself. Even as Christ embraces our imperfections, the call to become like Christ, the call to become like the Holy Family, never ceases. And so, as you look at your own family, if you have called God into your home, immaterial of our imperfections, please know that because God is present there, that your family is holy. And knowing that God is present, let's try to strive towards the holiness that Christ would like us to. Please never give up hope. Please never stop loving anybody in the family. Please never give up trying to be a holy family, because Christ is not too far away from our families. I wish each one of you a very blessed New Year as well.